Yo, what is up, everybody? Chris here from Big Sports News, back at it again with another video. Today, I'm going to be bringing you guys a quick recap of what happened during week 2 of stage 4 of the CDL, as well as what you guys can expect going into our final week of the regular season, which is week 3 of stage 4. Now, you guys already know the rules. You know how we do things over here on the channel. We are always going to hop right into our pick'ems. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Of course, in our first matchup today, Friday, July 8th, we have the London Royal Ravens taking on Atlanta Faze. I think it'll be a 3-1 for Faze. The Ravens have looked really, really good against all the other teams they've played, but I think Faze will lock it up 3-1 here. I'm going to go over the results from last week after I get through Friday's matches. Now, in our next matchup, we have the Legion taking on the Mutineers. Mutineers' form has been all over the place, but with all the pressure that's on them to stay above teams like New York and Minnesota that are close to them in the standings, I think Mutineers will definitely play up against the Paris Legion, a team that has only won 2 series all year. And I think they get a 3-1 here. I think Paris with Johnny, they look really good. So I think that they will likely take a map off of the Mutineers, but I just don't know which map it'll necessarily be. Now, in our last matchup of Friday, we have a really trappy game to predict because Seattle's form has been all over the place this stage after winning Major 3. And the Rokkrs' form has been really bad after, of course, getting bodied at Major 3 and placing top 12, essentially. Um, but as it stands, I think in terms of comps and just overall consistency, the Seattle Surge are miles ahead of the Minnesota Rokkr where it counts. Now, I think the series will be extremely close. I think both teams are very, very close in terms of just their overall capability and their potential. But I think Seattle is just the better team at this point in the season. And I think Minnesota's in a really odd place. They're in 10th, if I remember correctly. I will correct myself in post. So if that's wrong, you'll see on the screen. But yeah, I think that the Surge walk away with this one pretty convincingly. Like I said, Minnesota's not in a good place. They are not even in the champs like bracket. They're past the cutoff point. So they really need to kick things up. But I just think it's too little too late in this stage against the top tier teams. But who knows? Maybe they come out tomorrow. They're like, hey, we really need to, get above that line of elimination. And they come out and fry tomorrow. But we'll see. It'll be an interesting one for sure. I'm going to say Minnesota loses the series to the Surge 3-1. I think that's a more likely outcome. Uh, but I want it to go to a game 5. I don't want to give like a faded prediction that doesn't stand the test. Actually, a faded prediction would be a 3-1, I feel like. 3-2 is a safer bet. I think that Minnesota is a good team, and when they're on go, they are untouchable. So I think the 3-2 is a safe call in favor of the Surge. They've been really good, and they have the ice in game 5s. Rokkr does too, but I just think Surge is like dry ice, and Rokkr is like regular ice. So looking back to week 2, that of course being last week's matches, excuse me, you can see I racked up quite a few points. I only missed one series all weekend, actually. The only series I missed was Faze and LAG, and then Breach and Surge. I missed 2. I couldn't see because my phone's in the way. But yeah, so Phase 3 out Ultra like I expected them to. Ravens beat the Rokkr 3-1, so one map less than I thought. I didn't know what Rocker's form would be going up against Ravens, and I didn't know what Ravens' form would be since they're just adding Jay Giz back in this stage. But they look really great, so this bodes well for them going throughout the rest of the stage, and they have a really good chance to compete in that match against Phase, if not win it. So looking ahead to our next matchup, we have the Breach winning 3-1 over the Surge, which is a big upset. But Vivid, man, he's a difference maker. So what can be said there? In our next match on Saturday, our first match, we saw the Ravens taking on the Mutineers. I thought they would win 3-2. I thought it'd be really close. I thought the Mutineers and the Rokkr, since they're both like bubble teams, would play up and really be like, I don't know, just playing a lot more intensely. And then our next matchup, we had Paris taking on Optic. And Paris took a map off of them somewhere. I'm trying to think what it was. Was it the S&D? Might have been the S&D. But Paris took a map off of them. They looked good in the map they did take off of Optic. And it's a shame that this team wasn't constructed earlier in the year. I don't know why they started out with Decimate, Fellow, John, and Temp, thinking it was going to work. Like, that pairing, or excuse me, that composition just doesn't make any sense. Like the roles, there's so much role conflict there. Yeah, anyways, Legion got stomped 3-1. Subliners beat the Surge 3-1. I expected it to be a 3-2, but the Subliners in map 4, they just really increased the tempo and kind of threw off Subliners pacing. Excuse me. The Subliners threw off the Surge's pacing in map 4, and that's how they were able to take away that series. It was a super, super, super close Tuscan. But the Subliners were just able to clutch up, and they're just, like I said, they're on a mission. They're trying to get Krim to champs for possibly his last champs, and they want to win it. So these guys are playing with nothing but heart and grit. I respect it so much, especially someone who spent a lot of their life in New York. Like I'm happy to see New York team win, and Yankees on top, number one in the MLB. Hey, how about them Yankees? How about them Subliners? Maybe we'll start saying that. But anyways, I digress. In our next matchup, I had 3-1 for Faze. It ended up being the inverse, 3-1 for LAG. And then I said 3-1 Breach, and that was right. They 3-1 to LAG. So I don't know what to think about Faze after that L to LAG. That was just a weird series. Like, I don't know what to think. Guerillas played out of their minds. Huke, Neptune, everybody was just frying. I was like, damn, where was this early in the season? Like literally anywhere after Major 2. Like, where the hell was this? Like, why y'all turn up on my team? Like, can you guys chill? Like, turn up on Breach or some shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, what is this? But anyways, I lost full, bro. Regaining. Getting your second matchup on Sunday, we had the Thieves taking on the Legion, and I thought it would be a 3-1. I thought the Legion would take a map off of the Thieves. I didn't think that their form would be where it was. The Thieves looked lights out, and they're looking really good this stage. Now, in our last matchup of the week, we had the Subliners taking on Optic Texas. I thought it would be a Game 5 win for the Subliners, but they finished in 4. They just are seeming to be in a different zone right now. So, with that being said, I'm betting the farm on Subliners on Saturday or Sunday. I have nothing but faith in them to, at this point, just tee up with Minnesota and Florida, I think, right? They're the two teams in 9th and 10th place. Actually, let me just go check it out. Okay, we are back. So here are our current standings. I should take you guys through these more often. I don't know why I don't. But yeah, so looking at it, we have Mutineers and Rokkr in the bubble with 120 points, and then Subliners are 10 points behind them. So Mutineers and Rokkr both play Paris this weekend, and Paris could really spoil a lot if they win 2 series. If they beat Mutineers and they beat Rokkr, they could make sure that NYSL bumps themselves up to either 10th or 11th, because NYSL has definitely beaten Rokkr recently, and they've definitely beaten Guerillas. So I feel like they'd have the head-to-head. Overall, maybe they don't have the head-to-head on the season, so that's the only reason why I could see them losing a tiebreaker to these teams. But as it stands, I think that New York will definitely catapult over them at the major. I mean, these guys are they're hitting form at the right time in the season, right? Like, they're kicking it up into high gear at the right time in the season. And then the odd man out in all of this, like this whole stage, is Toronto Ultra. Like, these guys got 3rd place at their own major. They were playing out of their minds. They were looking like Cold War Ultra. And then they started looking like Vanguard Ultra again this stage. I don't know. But back to the pick'ems. Enough deviation. So I think Minnesota Rokkr likely walk away with a 3-2 in the series. I think Paris will be playing really, really tight against Rokkr. This is likely their last match of the regular season. I don't know that they'll make much. I don't know. I don't know that they'll make much of an impact at the major. So this is probably the last time we'll see Paris in a position to really win. So with that in mind, I think they push to a Game 5. This is really their last chance at having a good showing in front of the people. And I feel like the players will definitely be trying to play for contracts, if nothing else. So I think it's a 3-2 in favor of the Rokkr. I think they likely win through strong performances in the first and second maps. Their control has been really good, but it's also been somewhat inconsistent lately. So I feel like Paris could definitely take that. Their control has been on an upward tick, while Minnesota's has been kind of parabolic, if you will. Yeah, so I think 3-2 Rokkr. I feel like it'll be 1-2-5, but anything can happen. It might be a 3-1, it might be a 3-2. We'll see. But those are my thoughts. I think 1-2-5 Rokkr is how that goes. In our next matchup, we have the Ultra taking on the Breach. And this is a super trap game. The Ultra have not had a good stage four at all. Like looking at their last few results, obviously 3-0 loss to Faze. And then I think that was the only match they played last week, right? It should be. Yeah. And then the week prior, their results were absolutely abysmal. They lost London 3-1, I remember. Yep, 3-1 London loss. And then they lost no, they beat Guerillas 3-2. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really weird. Ultra's just in a bad spot. So with that in mind, I think a team like Breach will probably beat them. But who knows? Ultra might like really come out hot this week and say, hey, we have like two matches left. They're really big. We're playing against a new look Boston Breach team that's really been successful this stage. I think they're 3-1 right now. Like they've beaten some of the best teams. Like let's look back at their results. They beat Guerillas, of course, which they should have. They also beat Surge, which was a big, big confidence boost. And then they got beat up on by Thieves, my bad. And they beat Optic in a game five. That's what it was. The game five against Optic. Yeah, so the Breach are riding a ton of momentum this stage. They beat our defending Major 1 champs and our defending Major 3 champs, as well as our defending Major 2 champs. So, I mean, like, look at this. They won 3-1 over Surge. They won 3-1 over our Major 2 champs, Ultra or Guerillas, and they beat our Major 1 champs, Optic. Like, it's getting spicy. But I think it's a 3-2 for Breach, like I said, and I think it'll be a really, really good series. This might be series of the weekend, but I think Thieves versus Subliners will also be up there because both teams are playing for, supremacy in the standings. Now, looking at our next matchup, we have the Mutineers taking on the Thieves, and this is going to be a really interesting one because Two Real has really had a rough time adjusting to the league, and I'm curious to see if that like changes at all in their next two matches. I want to see if they can get him to be a little bit more comfortable playing against Paris. That would be a good warm up series to kind of initiate him into the league and how things go since he's been having such a rough go of it. So I'm curious to see how they rebound in this game against Thieves. This is a really interesting test of Florida's form because this is really their last chance to accrue enough points to get themselves into champs contention before the major and really kind of shift themselves up, if you will, if LAG don't win their match against the Ravens. But it also is important for them to have some wins going into the major so they can kind of ride that momentum and hopefully qualify for champs if they can. And then going into champs, they don't want to have anything kind of casting an ugly shadow over their end to the regular season. So with that in mind, I still think it'll be a 3-2 for LA Thieves. I think the LA Thieves, they look really good online. I've said it all year long. They're a LAN team. They've always performed really well at our LAN events, and they're bringing it together online. So I think it'll be a 3-2 for them. I think Ultra will put up a very, very, very good fight, and they could win the series if they play really well like they did against, who was it that they upset? It's a really good team. Let me find it. Mutineers. Yeah, Mutineers upset the Rokkr, which was a surprise. So we'll see if they can make like lightning strike in the same spot twice. We'll see how that goes. But as it stands, I think it's a 3-2 for the LA Thieves, and I think that will improve their standing to 3-1 in the stage. Yeah, 3-1. Only lost to Faze. So yeah, I think 3-2 Thieves. And then our next game, we have Faze taking on the Surge. That's going to be a really interesting one. This is the revenge tour for Faze. I think they will come in well practiced and ready for the series. So I think it'll be a 3-2 for them. If it goes that far, I want to say a 3-1. I feel like Faze will correct their mistakes and kind of prey on Seattle's really streaky form this stage by getting a win. So I think 3-2 Faze is the likely outcome there. And then moving on to Sunday's matches, trying to wrap this up. I know this video has been super long. Sorry for it being so long. I know you guys all have things to do. It's a Friday and, you want to get to the weekend. So here we go. London Royal Ravens, LA Guerillas. I think it is a very decisive 3-1 for the London Royal Ravens. If all things go according to plan and Faze beat them the way I think they will, then the Ravens will definitely be looking to make a response in their next performance against the LA Guerillas, which is why I think they walk away 3-1. Now, in our next series, we have the Ultra taking on Optic Texas. And this is a weird one because Texas is 1-3 this stage. So they are almost guaranteed to start in losers. And Ultra, similarly, are probably going to be 1-3 at this point. Maybe they can beat Boston and go 2-2 and make this series all the more interesting because if Toronto goes 2-2, then basically that series would result in a 2-3 if Optic wins and a 3-2 if Ultra wins, which would mean Optic was 1-4, which would be super interesting, them starting in losers. So for the storylines, I want Ultra to win, but I just don't think Dashy's going to let that happen. Forget Scump, forget Illy, forget Shotzi. I don't think Dashy's going to let that happen, bro. You guys know I'm not like an insane Dashy fan, but the guy's, I mean, he's an undeniable talent, like amazing, top 3 AR, like probably in the last 6-7 years. Like, let's keep it a buck. Like, in terms of form, not accolades. Obviously, he doesn't have really any accolades to compete with the best ARs of all time. Like, even Clay has more accolades in the last 3 years than Dashy does. So, I mean, obviously, accolades getting smoked, but overall, gunny and just potential and skill, like, come on. Like, he's not losing to Toronto Ultra that's looked as pitiful as they've looked, in my opinion. I hope I'm right. But I also felt like they were going to lose to Boston Breach, and they did. So we'll see how it goes for Optic. I think it's a 3-1. I mean, they just got Illy back. It's going to be a rough adjustment period, but I think they'll find their footing this week. And I think it'll propel them to a decent start at the major. If it doesn't result in a winner's bracket start, then it'll at least give them a lot of momentum heading into the loser side of things, and it'll give them a better seed for the losers bracket so they can face off against a worse team. Now, looking at our last match of the weekend, this is a super slugfest. So both of these teams at this point will have likely secured winners. I'm hoping the Thieves doesn't lose to Florida because if they do, then they'd be 2-2 going into this. And we all know what's going to happen, man. Crimsix is not missing champs. Guy's on a mission. He said, I know you guys have seen the video. Buy your tickets or else I'm going to get mad. He's going to get mad, bro. He's going to get mad. He's going to see Octane and he's going to say the same thing that he said when he saw Dashy last week. Barbecue chicken. So I think I'm being stupid. I'm so tired. I'm like past the point of exhausted. I've slept like 8 hours in the last 3 days. So please mind any like loopiness from me. I think it's a 3-1 for Subliners. I think the Thieves will put up a very, very valiant effort. They've been amazing this stage. This is their best stage online, outside of stage 1. And yeah, I think it'll be a really, really great series. I think it's a great way to close out the regular season and stage 4 regular play. And I hope you guys enjoy all the COD this weekend. I'm thinking, just a quick recap, 3-1 Faze, 3-1 Mutineers, and 3-2 Surge for our Friday matches, 3-2 Rokkr, 3-2 Breach, 3-2 Thieves, and 3-2 Faze for our Saturday slate, 3-1 Ravens, 3-1 Texas, and 3-1 Subliners for our Sunday matches. And I think that's how we end our weekend. I think we have a really good weekend of COD lined up. We have some great matches here. Ravens versus Faze is going to be a great one to watch. I think Mutineers versus Paris is going to be really fun to watch because both teams are really in an interesting spot. Paris has gotten a lot better since adding Johnny, and the Mutineers have gotten somewhat better after adding Major Maniac. But I'm curious to see how Two Real really improves after his struggles. And then our last matchup on Friday, Fire. Minnesota Rokkr has looked really good ever since they added Havoc. And the Seattle Surge have not looked as airtight as we thought they would after winning Stage 3. So that's going to be a really interesting matchup. Minnesota versus Paris is also interesting because of the bubble implications. Like I said before, Paris can play spoiler and make sure that Minnesota are further away from, securing a spot at champs and possibly even eliminated from champs contention if Guerillas play their cards right. And then Breach versus Ultra is going to be interesting too, because look at this. Breach and Ultra, if Ultra wins, they literally surpass Breach in the standings and they become 5th seed. So Breach is going to be trying to defend their 5th seed. And they're likely going to be trying to knock on the door of London Royal Ravens because they'll be 10 points behind them heading into the major. So that one's really important. Thieves versus Mutineers. Looking back at the standings, you can see why it's really important. Thieves have 140 points and they're in seventh place. And the Mutineers have 120 points and they're in 10th place. It's a 20-point difference between seventh and 10th. So that tells you just how tight things are. And if the Thieves win this series, and of course the Ultra lose to the Breach, then that means that the Thieves would likely surpass the Toronto Ultra. So that's a super important match. And then Faze versus Surge, in terms of the standings, as you guys can see, it's not super important. The only thing that could happen is that London could easily leapfrog Surge if Surge loses their last match, which would be this matchup against Faze. So looking at our next matchup, Ravens versus Guerillas, that's really important because Guerillas are actually the elimination line. So they are the A-seeded team. If they lose this, then it's likely that Minnesota, Florida, or New York will surpass them in the first matchup that they play at the major because Guerillas have had such a bad record. They're 1-3 currently, I believe. So they're guaranteed to start losers if that's right. I'll fact check and post to make sure. But that's a really important matchup. And then Ultra versus Optic is less important because Optic is second in standings, and Ultra will likely have their fate decided at this point. If they lost their matchup to Breach, then it's pretty clipped. I mean, they're not going to beat Optic after losing the Breach, I don't think. And their spot is pretty secure at champs. I mean, they have 150 points, so they should be okay. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. I don't think anything catastrophic will happen for Ultra, but you never know. So we'll see how that pans out. And then in our last matchup, we have the New York Subliners versus LA Thieves. As you guys can see, the Subliners are only 30 points behind the Thieves. So realistically, this could be their way of getting really into this elimination run, right? Like they're a super bubble team right now, but those 10 points would put them firmly in the middle of the bubble. So I really hope Subliners win to make it interesting. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy all the COD today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And I hope you have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. My results are here on the screen if you want to recap yourself again. I don't know why after all this talking, but yeah, I'm going to let you guys go. I know I've been talking your ear off. Sorry about that. Had to really get all the information out there. This is the most important weekend of the season, really. This is for all the marbles. So I hope you guys have a great morning, noon, or night wherever you may be on this beautiful planet, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are new. It really helps get the engagement up on the channel and it helps people to find what's going on here. I don't really care as much about the viewership, but knowing that I'm doing the right thing is always really encouraging and really helpful. So everybody who leaves comments, I love you and I appreciate you. And yeah, we're going to keep grinding, keep getting this content out, and appreciate you guys for joining me on the journey. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night, like I said before. And I will catch you guys next week for the start of Major 4. I was going to be going to Major 4, but after going to COVID, after going to New York for NFT NYC, being in Soho, and then seeing so many people that I know come back with COVID, I'm good because I have a lot of respiratory issues myself. So I just don't take any chances with Rona. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy Major 4 if you're going. Safe travels if you are. And be sure to check out the Challengers event this weekend as well. I don't know where that'll be streamed, likely on the CDL Challengers channel on YouTube. But yeah, be sure to check that out. Enough rambling. I'm going to go to sleep. Hope you guys have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. And I will catch you guys next week for major coverage, report cards, all the stuff I normally do, tier list, and of course, comprehensive bracket day by day. So yeah, guys, that will do it for me. Peace out. So yeah, guys, that'll just about wrap it up for me. Once again, this is Chris from Fake Sports News, and I am signing off. Hope you guys have a great morning, noon, or night. Once again, for the 5th time, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.